Welcome to Inside Gaming. I'm Brian. It's weekend roundup time. So obviously you guys already know the big news of the week. I don't even need to tell you. Take a guess. Yeah, Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. Yep, that is the big news. But big doesn't really do this story justice because it is seismic. It is going to literally change everything. And I know sometimes we say that about news. This really is going to change everything. So instead of rehashing what happened, because you guys already know that, I thought we would take a look at the pros and cons of this announcement, because no matter how you feel, there are pros and there are definitely cons to this news. So thought we'd take kind of a look at both sides and dig into it a little bit more. All right, so here we go. Now, first up, let's look at the pros, and probably the biggest immediate pro is that Microsoft will almost certainly clean house at Activision Blizzard. And boy, if a company ever needed a house cleaning, it's Activision Blizzard, which, as we all know, is still in turmoil after all the revelations of abuse and discrimination over the last year. We've already seen a lot of people pushed out of the company, leaders like J. Allen Brack of Blizzard. More recently, there were more than 36 pushed out in the aftermath of the allegations of all the sexual harassment and misconduct. There were dozens more disciplined. But you're asking yourself, what about Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision, who reportedly knew about all this misconduct for years? Well, he's still there for now, but it sounds like that is going to change at long last. The Wall Street Journal reported that Activision Blizzard and Microsoft have agreed that Kotick would depart once the takeover bid was finalized. That's not going to happen immediately. It's going to take some time. Of course, he will leave with a big payday because the truly bad people never get punished for anything in this country. But at least he won't be in a position to do further damage to people at the company. From what we've heard, Microsoft and Phil Spencer will almost certainly be better bosses than Kotick and his regime. We've heard from some of the studios that they've acquired over their spree over the last few years, and everybody's been like, yeah, they're actually pretty good. They let us do what we want. So that is obviously a huge pro, considering all the damage that has been done to people and their lives over all of the misconduct that has happened at Activision Blizzard and has been swept under the rug over the last several years. It has been truly toxic. It needs cleaning up. Hopefully it will get cleaned up. So that is a huge pro. All right, another pro, Game Pass. It's going to be nuts. In the announcement of the acquisition, Phil Spencer specifically mentioned their subscription service, and he said, we will offer as many Activision Blizzard games as we can within Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, both new titles and games from Activision Blizzard's incredible catalog. Game Pass, already the best value in gaming. With this acquisition, it's gonna almost be a necessity. It's hard to imagine like not having Game Pass in the next few years. Adding Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo, everything else under the Activision Blizzard umbrella just makes Game Pass even more valuable. And another pro, while we're talking about Game Pass, is that this acquisition could breathe major new life into some stale franchises. Specifically, I'm thinking about World of Warcraft, which over the last year or so has lost the honor of best MMO to Final Fantasy XIV. A lot of players have been jumping ship, but imagine WoW offered on Game Pass and the influx of new players that could result from that. An MMO, it's only as strong as its player base, and if WoW, just for the sake of argument, was free to play on Game Pass, that would be a whole new beginning for the game, and you'd better believe that Microsoft has the resources to pull it off. All right, those are some big good points, but let's talk about the cons. And first and most obvious is that consolidation in any industry is not a good thing historically, and this is some major consolidation. This is a mega consolidation. Activision itself was the product of what the New York Times called serial deal making by Bobby Kotick over the years, rolling up a ton of smaller studios. We have been seeing that also with Microsoft with its big acquisition spree over the last few years. Remember when Bethesda was their big purchase? That seemed like a million years ago. But to be fair, Sony has been acquiring well-known studios too, like Insomniac Games, but that pales in comparison to the deals that Microsoft is making. The Activision Blizzard deal is valued at some $70 billion, an unfathomably large number. That's something that Sony and Nintendo just don't have the resources to match. And we saw reports that Sony's stock dropped like 13% right after the announcement, just like billions of dollars in their valuation just just wiped out because investors are worried that Sony just does not have the firepower to keep up. This deal just really underscores just how much bigger Microsoft is than Sony or Nintendo. They are just a fraction. Let me put it in perspective. Sony's market capitalization is about $147 billion when I looked it up. Nintendo, $55 billion. Microsoft, $2.3 trillion. It's like the second biggest, I think, after Apple. Like, it's not even in the same league. And as many have noted, Microsoft doesn't even view Sony and Nintendo as competition. Phil Spencer himself said a few years ago that Amazon and Google are their real competition, other tech giants. And this acquisition is looked at as strengthening Microsoft's position in the so-called metaverse, which we've seen companies like Facebook mention more and more lately. Honestly, IGN had a good article. It's a content war. I think that's really accurate. Everybody is just trying to gobble up as much content as possible. But for the gaming industry as a whole, consolidation is bad. It results in less competition, less innovation, probably more monetization practices as the number of options for gamers gets fewer and fewer, and not great monetization practices. When one console maker gets too big in any particular generation, we tend to see them act worse. Nintendo, I know they're all cute and cuddly Nintendo now. They went through this in the late 80s when it was the 800-pound gorilla of gaming. They had a stranglehold on the gaming market and did not great things. Sony last generation was slow to adopt features like crossplay because it just didn't have to. So when they don't have competition and they don't have to do something for the benefit of the players, a lot of times they just don't. Just imagine also what'll happen if Microsoft snuffs out or acquires all of its competition. Yeah, your favorite franchises might be on Game Pass, but what about the future of those franchises? Look at Disney. Look at Disney and Star Wars. Is that what you want to see happen here? I don't think so. And that brings me to my last con. What if Microsoft keeps going? There's no indication that they're done buying things. What could be next? Jeff Keighley of the Game Awards tweeted something really distressing in the wake of the Activision Blizzard news. He wrote, "If you're wondering about other big game companies that could be acquired, here's who remains." Also, remains, that's scary. Then he lists the remaining big players in terms of their market capitalization. EA, $38 billion. Take-Two, $18 billion. Bandai Namco, $15 billion. On the way down, Ubisoft, $7 billion. Konami, $6 billion. Square Enix, $5.6 billion. Capcom, $4.9 billion. Sega, $3.6 billion. Those are chicken feed compared to the $70 billion that Microsoft just paid for Activision Blizzard. But even further, what if they bought Steam, for example? What if they bought Valve? Would that be good for the gaming industry? No? So, to paraphrase Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones, does Microsoft look like they're done fighting? I don't think so. So, just some food for thought as we move into this new world of fewer and fewer players. Also, Microsoft owns Crash Bandicoot now. Nothing makes sense. All right, on to the rest of the stories. There are a lot of rumors surrounding a new Mario Kart game, and we have some alleged details that have been leaked. Now, this leaker is Zippo, who has been right about Nintendo projects in the past. Zippo says we will see characters from other Nintendo series in the new Mario Kart. That includes Star Fox, Pikmin, and ARMS. Some people think the new game will be called Mario Kart 9. There's also reports that it could be Mario Kart 10 because maybe Nintendo considers Mario Kart 8 Deluxe like the 9th Mario Kart installment. There's also reports that it could be called Mario Kart Crossroads. Zippo also wrote that alternate costumes will also be featured in some way, as well as expanded single-player content of some kind. Another leaker, Leaky Pandy, tweeted their own info about the game, writing that crossover IP in the game will include Advance Wars, Animal Crossing, ARMS, Balloon Fight, F-Zero, Kid Icarus, Splatoon, and Zelda. They also said there would be non-Nintendo IP in the game in the form of Rabbids characters. Leaky Pandy also said there would be no coins in the new game, and in another departure, there will be 2 types of item boxes, big and small. The small one would have minor rewards like a shell or a mushroom. The bigger one would have more powerful items like a star. They also wrote that passing through a box while holding a small item upgrades it to the big version. Now, we've heard a lot of rumors lately that the next Mario Kart game is in active development. That makes sense because it's been a while since 8 released on the Wii U. That was 2014, and 8 Deluxe came out in 2017 for the Switch. Analyst Dr. Serkan Toto told GamesIndustry.biz that Mario Kart 9 is in active development and comes with a new twist, and Nintendo could tease it this year. So 2021 was a banner year for video games in the US. Gamers broke yet another record, spending more than $60 billion Hey, that's a lot less than Microsoft just paid for Activision Blizzard, which was an 8% increase year over year. The best-selling game of the year was Call of Duty Vanguard, followed by Black Ops Cold War, both of which will soon be owned by Microsoft. Interesting note, it is the 13th consecutive year that the Call of Duty series has topped the annual US charts. Madden NFL 22 came in third place for 2021. Spider-Man Miles Morales was the best-selling PlayStation title. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were #1 on Nintendo platforms for the year. Forza Horizon 5 was the top Microsoft exclusive for 2021. Hardware sales hit $6 billion last year, up 14% from 2020, and the best-selling console of the year, the Switch. God of War released recently for PC, and it has been very, very successful. Critic-wise, it got a 93 from Metacritic. God is a Geek called it a brilliant port. More importantly, lots of people are playing it. The game is Sony's biggest launch ever on Steam. It hit more than 73,000 concurrent players at its peak. That put it in the top 10 on Steam, and it did much better than Horizon Zero Dawn's peak of 56,000 concurrent players and Days Gone's peak of more than 27,000. Just goes to show there's a big appetite for PlayStation exclusives on PC. Hopefully we will see a lot more. Some veterans of Firaxis Games are starting a new studio that will make turn-based strategy games. The new studio will be called Bit Reactor, and it'll be headed by former Firaxis art director Greg Forch, who worked on XCOM and Civilization games. IGN reported that Forch said turn-based strategy has been greatly overlooked, and those games have an enormous amount of room for innovation. Yes, I love turn-based strategy. More. All right, time for a 5-second review. So this started out as a card game, and then it became you just gotta experience it. It's nuts. It's good. All right, let's talk about the games coming out next week. First up, Hidden Deep is an atmospheric sci-fi action game heavily inspired by Aliens, The Thing, and Half-Life. Explore, climb, swim, scan, blast, and shoot your way through a dangerous mission in a huge sub-oceanic mining and research facility. Fear the horrors that lurk below. Comes to PC January 24th. Reverie Knights Tactics is a turn-based tactical RPG with strategic battles and isometric grids where every decision can alter the story. Travel through a hand-drawn fantasy world and lead your heroes in a story-rich adventure visual novel style. It comes to PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch January 25th. Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem is a standalone expansion to the world of the classic FPS series. Join the fight against Notorious Mental on a journey through the wildlands of Russia and find your way through this lost chapter of Sam Stone's adventures. Comes to PC January 25th. Kingdom of the Dead is a pen and ink drawn horror FPS game where you play as Agent Chamberlain, professor turned army general, now working for the secret government program known as Gatekeeper, whose main purpose is to defeat Death and his armies. Comes to PC January 26th. Circuit Superstars is a top-down racer built by racing fans for racing fans, celebrating generations of racing, focusing on driving that feels great, but with a high skill ceiling that will have players spending hours honing their perfect lap. Comes to PS4 January 27th. Rugby 22, Crouch, Bind, Set. Discover the true rugby experience, play with the best clubs and top nations, enjoy dynamic gameplay that stays faithful to the sport, and experience the intensity of big matches. Comes to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, and Xbox One, January 27th. Vagante is an action-packed platformer that features permanent death and procedurally generated levels. Play cooperatively with friends both locally and online, or adventure solo in this challenging roguelike-inspired game. Comes to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, January 27th. Zenith: The Last City. Fight, craft, explore, and lose yourself in a massively multiplayer world built for VR. Forge alliances and friendships in guilds and parties. Join epic raids and world events and blaze your own path. How will you use your power? Comes to PC, Oculus Quest 2, and PSVR January 27th. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. Seek your fortune and leave your mark on the map in the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. Uncover the thrilling cinematic storytelling and the largest blockbuster action set pieces in the Uncharted franchise, packed with all the wit, cunning, and over-the-top moment of the beloved thieves Nathan Drake and Chloe Frazier. In an experience delivered by award-winning developer Naughty Dog, the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection includes the 2 critically acclaimed globe-trotting single-player adventures from Uncharted 4: A Thief's End and Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Comes to PS5 January 28th. And last but not least, Pokemon Legends Arceus. Get ready for a new kind of grand Pokemon adventure in Pokemon Legends Arceus, a brand new game from Game Freak that blends action and exploration with the RPG roots of the Pokemon series. Embark on survey missions in the ancient Hisui region, explore natural expansions to catch wild Pokemon by learning their behavior, sneaking up, and throwing a well-aimed Pokeball. You can also toss the Pokeball containing your ally Pokemon near a wild Pokemon to seamlessly enter battle. Comes to the Switch January 28th. That's all the news I got for you this week, guys. I hope you're having a great weekend. We'll see you soon.